Hey everybody, quick update. It's been a little bit since I've shown any printed parts. I wanted to show everyone where I'm at, including my current customers that I've got. I've got their money and I want to show a little bit of an update. So little intro into 3D printing plastics. Most common plastic is called PLA, and that's what I've been using to date. And I've decided to switch to a stronger plastic. I figured that I'm mailing these off to people. I want to make sure that these parts last. I know that the Azeron folks are using PLA, and I've not seen any reports of the gamepads breaking or deforming, but if you go look at 3D printing, like PLA glass temperature point or melting point, there's a bunch of videos online. There's one by a content creator named Maker's Muse where he does testing in his car, and the parts done in PLA completely deformed. They didn't quite melt into a pile of goop, but like the part was just gone, just from sitting on the dash of his car. It's that sensitive. So I know that's around 60C, and so PETG, which is what I've been printing in recently, is around 80 or 90, so it's more resilient to temperature. So if you leave your orb weaver, modded orb weaver in the car, it's not going to deform. It's stronger than PLA, so it won't snap. It's also a little more flexible, so it's less brittle, so it won't snap. If you try to break it, it'll just kind of bend, but it's also stronger that way. So the downsides to PETG is that it's harder to print, which I've spent the last week and a half dialing in that plastic on my printers, and I've gotten to the point where I've got it pretty good. The other downside is that it does not take post-processing well, or at all in some cases. So like this pink stuff is the PETG. It's super strong. The PLA part in this D-pad harness, I could bend it. This stuff I cannot. It doesn't bend. This is a PLA plate, and it's pretty bendy. Like, especially there, I feel like I could snap that. Here's one in PETG. I'm having to exert a lot more force there. So it's stronger stuff. So what I'm going to do is, for post-processing, is not post-process it. I'm not going to, the filler and the filler primer and the stuff doesn't stick, so I can peel that off with my fingers. That's just, it doesn't. It's the same stuff that your plastic water bottles are made out of. It's polyethylene. It's a glycol modified polyethylene. And if you've ever tried to do any crafts with plastic water bottles, you know that nothing sticks to those things, and I'm finding that to be true here. So, but what I can do is, instead of printing in pink filament, I've got some black PETG on the way. I'll print in black, and I'll take requests for colors as I do these. I've got a guy who wants some blue, so I'm going to have to get in touch with him and let him know that we have to punt a little bit on the paint color that we picked. But I want to show you something I found for 3D printing these parts. So here's a PETG piece that I printed without a feature called ironing, and here's a piece that I just printed with ironing. And ignore the bad shape. I got really excited when I saw it and yanked it off the print bed before it had cooled, and so it just it was still warm and gooey a little bit, so it I warped it by peeling it too soon. But anyways, it will show, you're looking at the surface texture here, so I'm gonna try to get this close and focus it. It's not working so great. Sorry. I think you can see a little bit. You should be able to see the lines. Oops. Should be able to see the lines here. Yeah, you can see it there too, especially. That light's horrible. Yeah, you can see it there. There you go. You can see it there. That's without a feature called ironing enabled. And you can see the final layer as the nozzle kind of moved around. With ironing enabled, all that's gone. So here's the same part printed. And you can see the surface is smooth. So I think in black filament, black plastic, or whatever color people want, blue, black, purple, pink, gray, I've got a few, that I can iron them. It's a feature in my 3D print slicer, and get the surface quality that we want. Probably not as good as PLA that I've sanded and filled and plasti-dipped or painted. I think that looks pretty good. But I think this is going to be the best in terms of... that light is horrible. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm going to have to figure that out. Is the best of all the worlds in terms of heat resistance and material strength, and then cosmetic outcome. Like it, just feeling that it's really smooth. I think that's going to be the best way to go. Oh, and the other thing with this material is it doesn't let me do this all-in-one plate. I got really excited about this. I'm keeping this design around, but the way that this is oriented on the print bed, I've tried a few different ways, and you know, printing, it lays layer lines. So it does one layer, moves up a 0.5 millimeter, does another layer, moves up. So I found that with this material, some of the oddly offset faces, like this plane here, especially on the enclosure, and this plane here, were very, very weak. So weak that when I went to remove the supports, so when you print and you've got overhangs, the printer can't print in midair, so it's building up material underneath and it will print supports, but you got to remove those when it's done. When I went to remove the supports, like the enclosure broke. And that's because the material is so strong that the supports were very strong. So it was, I don't know. I'll continue to play with it, but I don't think that having this full, all these pieces on one part is going to work with this material. We're going to have to do one part that's got the wing for the D-pad, another part that has the sled for the thumb, and then another part that's the enclosure. I can get it to look a lot the same because it's going to be glued in place or stuck in place with foam tape, but this dream, I think, is probably dead unless I can find some different PLA. Now, there are some PLAs that you can anneal. They're really expensive, but they print really easily, and then you basically bake them in the oven, and it increases the temperature resistance and the strength of the material after, like, as a post-processing step. I want to play with that, because if that could work, then I could make this work. But that stuff's expensive, like really, 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 really expensive, and I gotta figure that out. But I think that might be ideal. For now, we're gonna do the PETG though, because of everything else said in this video. Anyways, I wanted to get an update out mostly for the guys that I'm currently working on their units, and then that sounded wrong. Hey-o! And then for upcoming customers and people who are following this for DIY, what they can expect when they get kits. Yeah. Anyways, that's all I got. I'll catch y'all later.